Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. I'm Davia Chambers. Today we're at Shaw Park Complex here in Scarborough, Tobago, and we're going to update you on all the major stories happening in Tobago over the past week. So sit back, relax and enjoy as Let's Talk Tobago starts right now. The Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, TADCO, is again collaborating with Novo Farms to bring a new line of products to Tobago. The new Regional Junior Minister of Tourism returns home to a hero's welcome. Residents of the Mount Grace and Wim communities are now more aware of the threat posed by the giant African snail and ready to take action. And later, mass band Fog Angels are gearing up for Tobago's Carnival in October, and they're inviting you to be a part. We have all these stories and more for you when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Stay with us.
This is paradise, where the vibe's so nice. Say whoa, say whoa. Welcome to paradise, you will feel so nice in Tobago.
Now, some months ago, the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, or TADCO, signed an MOU with Novo Farms. It's a partnership expected to enhance the quality and the quantity of food produced right here in Tobago. In this story, Omadara Mills sat down to chat with the Novo Farms CEO to find out a little bit about that business, why it's collaborating with TADCO, and to find out about some of the CEO's favorite TADCO products. Take a look.
Have you ever tried ready-made meal packs like dal, tomato choker, kalaloo or baigan? These are among a line of Novo Farms products that will soon be available in Tobago's supermarkets, as well as via the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, TADCO. TADCO's partnership with Novo Farms is as a result of an MOU which was signed earlier this year. Novo Farms is a Trinidad-based company with interests in agro-processing and food manufacturing. The company uses local produce like sweet potatoes, cassava and dasheen to produce different meals. Chief Executive Officer of Novo Farms, Siobhan Wilson, says that the collaboration with TADCO will boost the country's food security.
In having conversations with TADCO, we saw a lot of opportunity there for us to work together, where we could provide some advantages, the technology, the skills, but TADCO had a lot of innovative, creative products that we really love, that are doing well on the shelves from what they've seen in the Agri-Expo coming into here. And we really believe that we have the opportunity to do something great in the local space in terms of agriculture sector and manufacturing.
Mr. Wilson gives further insight into the shared vision of the two enterprises.
The scope of the arrangement is really for us to be able to increase our capacity locally, Trinidad and Tobago, to be able to get the inputs that we need from farmers and then to manufacture and create the kind of products that you've been seeing on the shelves, and not just take that into the Trinidad and Tobago market, but to take it regionally and even globally. So that is kind of the roadmap in terms of where we're going, and the product range is very wide and vast.
As a TADCO customer, Mr. Wilson has a few favorites from the Tobago Agribusiness Company's widening range of products.
I love the dasheen cereal, right? I bought about 6 packs. I came back today to buy another one, but it's off the shelves. That has been doing extremely well, and not just from me. I mean, I love it personally, but other persons have been buying it. I don't even think they have any more on the shelves right now. And I've also had the cake, the cassava cake, fruit cake. That has been fantastic. I'm going to buy a couple more before I leave. So I really love those two. I do have a pack of the waffle mix to try at home. I haven't tried it as yet, but definitely when I try it, I'll give my feedback. But definitely everything so far has been fantastic.
Thanks to their mutual goals, TADCO and Novo Farms can together lift the standards of the agricultural industry. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobagonian Janae Brathwaite is the new Regional Junior Minister of Tourism. The Signal Hill Secondary School student returned home to a hero's welcome when she landed at the A&R Robinson International Airport. We have more details in this story.
So when I came in and I saw everyone at the airport, my heart literally wanted to explode out of happiness, because it shows that I have a lot of persons who are supporting me, and that I've truly made persons within the island proud, and that this achievement is not only mine but everyone's achievement. It is truly a happy feeling being back home.
17-year-old Janae Brathwaite walked away with the coveted title of Regional Junior Minister of Tourism at the recently concluded Caribbean Tourism Organization Youth Congress. She presented ideas on experiential tourism as a tool to improve Tobago's tourism products.
According to Mortensen 2010, an immersive museum is a specialized space which creates the illusion of time and place by using 3D technology to integrate visitors into the experience.
Along with her presentation style and use of technology showcasing Tobago, Ms. Brathwaite credits the support of her team as being key to cupping the regional title for the first time.
Actually really nervous. However, I saw my teachers, I saw our secretary, I saw Miss Sylvester, I saw my mom and my aunt, and it gave me that boost of confidence to go out there and showcase the island.
I couldn't believe at first when they announced that Tobago had won. It was a surreal feeling, and it just symbolized the fact that hard work, diligence, preparation reaps great rewards.
The new Regional Junior Minister of Tourism intends to use her platform to encourage other young people to share their ideas for the industry.
I see Jenny using it to encourage more students in the school, not only to join the club, but to also look at tourism as a career.
The CTO Youth Congress provides the opportunity for young people to develop a greater interest in the region's tourism sector. This initiative is supported by the division through its youth tourism programs.
The division places such a high emphasis on tourism education, we say from nursery to tertiary, so that they could be ambassadors for tourism for Tobago in particular. And this victory for Tobago, for the division, is phenomenal.
From the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, I'm Juliet James reporting for Let's Talk Tobago.
There's no better occasion to remind us how important it is to preserve our history than marking a Diamond Jubilee, 60 years as an independent nation. The We Little City exhibition held right here at Shaw Park Complex has presented Tobagonians with a flashback to the past, as we find out in this next story. Have a look.
Original documents of the schedule of events in 1962. Newsletters that were published weekly in July and August of the same year. The minutes of the Scarborough Lighting Subcommittee. Letters of solicitation, receipts for contributions, and much more. A treasure trove of documents for the Scarborough Lighting Project for the 1962 Independence Celebration of Trinidad and Tobago were all on display at the Shaw Park Complex as the Scarborough Heritage Parlour and Radio Tambrin hosted We Lit Our City. This event formed a part of the nation's 60th independence anniversary. The documents were maintained by George Leacock Sr., who chaired the Scarborough Lighting Project. The exhibition is presented in 5 exhibits that also cover the work of the Tobago Organizing Committee, led by Eileen Gilloom.
When I started and I realized how challenging it would be to complete, to sort, to collate, and to decide which part of this treasure trove of documents that we have was going to be displayed, I decided that I needed help. And you don't make it through this world without a certain number of co-conspirators.
According to the September 18, 1962 minutes of the Commercial Community Lighting Subcommittee, 3,000 feet of overhead street lights for decoration purposes were also solicited.
The streets of Scarborough were decorated with lights on August 31st, 1962, our very first independence as a nation. The Commercial Community Lighting Subcommittee, coupled with solicited funds from the business owners of Scarborough and environs, were responsible for such an amazing gift to Tobago. Tech was also an integral part of this experience. They had to ask Tech for assistance, and what Tech did was they came with a letter with 3 different quotations on what it will cost the committee and Scarborough to pull off something as big as this.
Back then, a series of community lectures were also hosted to ensure every resident on the island understood just what it meant to be an independent nation.
On one end, they had the elders in the society from all different communities coming together to teach people about what it meant to be a citizen of an independent nation, finally, especially a Tobagonian. For the day when they had to feed 25,000 students and children of the community, people would have lent their vehicles to transport them to different venues where this thing was happening.
The launch was sponsored by the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission, TNTEC, and the exhibition was supported by First Citizens. Also present at the exhibition was Assistant Secretary for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Assemblyman Wayne Clark.
The giant African snail is a threat to Tobago communities. We'll find out what one group of residents is going to do about it right on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back.
Whoa, welcome to paradise. You will feel so nice in Tobago. This party island, the vibes it's strong like white brown boy. Party sweet on the road, from your reach you go know.
The giant African snail poses a threat to the island for both health and economic reasons. Sightings in the Wim and Mount Grace communities were the genesis behind a meeting to bring greater awareness about this pest and to get the community involved in tackling this problem. Omar Mills has more in this story.
The giant African snail is an invasive species. It feasts on over 500 types of plants, including vegetable and ornamental crops, fruit trees and forest trees. The snail is also a carrier of the rat-lung worm, a parasite that can cause meningitis in humans. It's therefore a serious threat to agriculture, public health, and the economy. In light of recent sightings of the creature in the Mount Grace and Wim communities, a giant African snail community meeting was held at Mount Grace Community Center. This awareness session shared a lot of critical information to ensure residents are fully up to date on the issue.
Once you find one, it requires a response. Remember, the giant African snail is a hermaphrodite, and a single snail can start a population in this space. The earlier you report the sighting, the higher the likelihood of a speedy eradication. The longer you take to report the pest, the population continues to grow, they continue to spread and establish themselves.
One giant African snail can produce over 1,000 eggs annually. Once the snails get established in an area, they are difficult to manage and expensive to eradicate. Community action groups is one way to help officers raise awareness about the snail and to assist in scheduled checks. Forming an action group was a major objective of the community meeting.
This is necessary because, of course, if the infestation is within the community, it is directly going to affect households, businesses in the community by extension. Remember, there's the public health risk as well with the rat-lung worm being vectored by the giant African snail. So therefore, it is critical for the community to work along with the division to be effective at reducing the population initially and eventually eradicating.
Residents appreciated learning about the features and behaviors of this pest. They are also interested in the measures and the partnerships needed to control the giant African snail.
I want to thank the Division of Agriculture for, your alertness in recognizing this sighting and coming to the community especially. to ensure that we have buy-in and we can have the kind of partnership that would allow for success.
Leaving here with the information that was put out, it really and truly propelled me to be proactive now, to inform more persons about what needs to be done and what collaboration could happen for us to be greater informed as to how to eradicate this before it gets out of control.
For more information or to report sightings of the giant African snail, WhatsApp the Plant Protection Hotline at 482-7528 or call the Food Crop Production Office at 639-4616. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
The Tobago Blue Economy Ideas Competition 2022 is an initiative hosted by the International Development Bank, the IDB, to get people thinking about the environment and the need for sustainability. The IDB also hosted a workshop to help participating businesses implement their creative ideas. We have highlights in this story. Listen up.
Tobago is noted for its clean, clear, pristine sand and beaches, being the home to the world's largest marine coral, also as home to a swimming pool in the middle of the ocean called the Nylon Pool, and the world's oldest protected rainforest, just to name a few. That is why it is important that we preserve the greatest little island in the world. And one way in doing such is to protect our blue economy. And the Interdevelopment Bank, IDB, launched a great idea to help with this initiative called Tobago Blue Economy Innovation Ideas Competition. And out of this competition, a workshop was held to help in implementing strategies in moving forward. Blue economy is a sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihoods and jobs, while preserving the health of the ocean ecosystem.
Basically, what we're doing today is going through their project ideas, looking at their project concepts, hearing from them what their stories are, and also giving input into their stories, how to make this happen. So today it's a strong working session.
The competition sought to bring out the creative side of the competitors and to, in turn, spawn ideas of how we can best utilize sustainable resources from the oceans.
What we're looking at is economic diversification. This was the whole idea about the program, and to see what are the opportunities arising from the elements of the blue economy that can be implemented over time.
The winner of the competition received the prize of US $10,000. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago's young people recently showed they know their way around the kitchen, but they had to earn the title of the island's best in the second edition of the Youth Canker competition hosted by the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. We'll tell you who the winners were in this story. Have a look.
It's called Culinary Arts for a reason. This is a skill that requires lots of love, time, dedication, even art and creativity. For a second year, the annual Youth Can Cook competition was hosted by the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, and the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, THTI. And these aspiring chefs did not come to play, as it gave them the opportunity to showcase their talent.
It's a competition which really started in 2019. It started out of a community-based project. One of my officers who is responsible for the Castara to Lansome district, she felt in her walkabout in the community that there were a lot of young people who were aspiring to the culinary field, but they weren't having an opportunity to do so. So that sparked the initiative to have the competition.
What's remarkable and innovative about this competition is that teams are formed right there and then. The clock is then set, teams strategize and invent, working together to create amazing dishes.
One of the things is that you will enter as an individual, but in our orientation, we will do some team dynamics and teaching young people to work in teams. So you're not coming with your crew, we're going to put you in groups. So the skill is, to on the spot work with other people in the challenge.
Team Scorpion was the winning team. This team member says the experience is a testimony to the benefits of being open to anything in life.
Overall experience was amazing. At first, I was real nervous, I ain't gonna lie. So now you see me fooling around the kitchen, I was just calm on my nerves, but the team worked awesome together and nobody knew each other. So today was our first kind of meshing and we got along perfect. Everything went smoothly and we're proud of ourselves. We were shocked with ourselves today.
Community Development Secretary Terence Baines was also on hand to entice his palate and also to encourage the youth.
All the dishes tasted exceptionally well. Out of this particular situation, a few years from now, you never know, we may have some major chef in some major hotel or some place of business. So this is an incubator in my view, and I am excited for the possibilities coming out of this event.
The competition was held at the Lambo Multipurpose Center. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago Carnival is fast approaching and one organization is committed to ensuring masqueraders will have the time of their lives. Stick around to find out more because Let's Talk Tobago will return right after this break. Stay with us. Now culture falls into the spotlight with Tobago Carnival just over a month away. This time, it's the award-winning Fog Angels Mass Band seeking to put its stamp on the upcoming festivities. Our cameras visited Fog Angels to find out their plans for Carnival 2022. Here's what you can expect.
Carnival is a celebration. Carnival is color. Carnival is creativity. It's definitely a spectacle, and this year, Tobago's roads will display all of this and more for Carnival from October 28th to 30th. Part of this display is Fog Angels, the premium all-inclusive band based in Crown Point.
Our aim is always to produce costumes that customers of different variations of shapes and sizes can come into our band, feel safe, feel secure, feel nice. And that is what Fog Angels always offer all the time.
This year, Fog Angels is celebrating its 10th anniversary as a carnival band. So they've got 10 surprises on the road for its revelers.
We have 10 surprises for the road, right? We have 10 sections for Juve and we have 10 sections for Mass. We have Wakanda to my left and we have La Vida Loca to my right, and we also have a section called Island Breeze. Everyone knows that Carnival is about color. You see a lot of colorful costumes in most bands, right? However, we wanted to do something that it will shock everyone, right? So we decided to go with a black costume, and by designing the black costume and stuff, we thought about the name Wakanda because our theme for this year is freedom. Wakanda symbolizes that as well.
Fog Angels promises to give all visitors and locals an experience of a lifetime.
We offer a double play package, which you can play Juve and Mass Saturday and Sunday for a cost of $2,000 per person. So this gets you access for Juve and Mass. This is a premium all-inclusive band. We have free drinks, free breakfast, free lunch for Mass, tight security, some of the biggest music trucks. We have drink trucks, wee-wee trucks, surprises, artists, and the list goes on.
If you're interested in being a part of this carnival experience, you can register on the company's website, www.fogangels.com.
We have a lot planned for you guys this year. This is our 10th anniversary, and we are getting ready to offload on the road. The road is ours.
So you've heard a lot from us today about all the buzz on the island. Now it's our turn to hear from you. So with Republic Day 2022 in the air, our crew took to the streets to find out how Tobagonians feel about the country's 46th anniversary as a republic. Here's what you said.
Trinidad and Tobago became a republic on August 1st, 1976. The event is celebrated as a public holiday on September 24th because this is the date when the first parliament met under the new Republican Constitution. But what does it mean to be a republic? Well, a republic is a state or nation in which the supreme power rests in all the citizens entitled to vote, the electorate, and is exercised by representatives elected directly or indirectly by them and responsible to them. So what does it mean as we celebrate our 46th anniversary?
Any country that has managed to enjoy independence and having republic status like ourselves, I think is a fantastic thing. It's a signal for more growth, more development. Hopefully people see the opportunity that we are not responsible to any colonial master, as the case may be, but there comes great responsibility when you have independence and republic.
I'm feeling very proud, and I find the country have come a long way and we're doing well.
As a people, we actually stick together, and that inspires me, because just to see how we work together hand in hand and we can still share that love, share that peace. I mean, every country has their own downfalls, but what does make us the best is that our ability to resolve situations, and that I believe does make us strong and spread the love continuously.
I'm proud to know that we've been able to have a democracy that's been hard fought. All women are able to stand side by side with men, which is something that is not common across the world.
I'm proud to be a Trinidad and Tobago citizen. I'm born in Tobago. We have the rights to vote as women. We have the right to join the army. We have the rights to join the police, Coast Guard, anything like that. And we have a voice that women could afford to speak out in this country.
All women being able to represent themselves equally among men, our ability to vote as citizens of our country and represent ourselves as people in the country. Yes, I think that's one of the best things we can actually have achieved as a country, as a nation.
There's much to be desired, but I'm proud of where we are at.
When you look around the Caribbean, there are countries that have not yet achieved republicanism. And as a Twin Island state, that is a milestone that we can say that we are proud of. And of course, I mean, there's a lot more development to happen in this Twin Island state, but we are indeed happy to be a republic and of course celebrating 46 years.
Happy great.
Happy Republic, Trinidad and Tobago.
Happy Republic Day, Trinidad and Tobago. God bless you.
Happy Republic Day, Trinidad and Tobago.
Happy Republic Day and
46th anniversary Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Marlon Gottsliben for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we've come to the end of yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and enjoyable week.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago, good morning Trinidad, those of you viewing in the Caribbean, and those of you on the live. Good morning, Julian. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, I'm good. Continuing to give God thanks. We had a very interesting day yesterday with the presentation of the budget nationally by the finance minister. And very specific at that, the allocation here to Tobago, 2.5 billion. Interesting that it ties in to what seems to be consistent over the period, just about 4.3%. We were hoping for some excitement, we were hoping for some surprises, we were hoping that, central government would have gone a little more beyond, but notwithstanding, the allocation is what it is this time around in terms of 2.5 billion.
Right. Maybe I missed it, but I really didn't get any surprises. There was nothing that jumped out at me, during the presentation yesterday. But again, maybe I missed it. Did anything jump out at you?
Well, the increase in airline fares would have jumped out at me.
Okay.
The increase in fuel costs,
yes,
jumped out at me.
Airfare and the ferry.
I don't like the trick of, and I have to call it a trick at that. Don't give me dollar value in the context of the budget. Speak to me, as one of my colleagues said, we were chatting after the budget, one of my colleagues in the financial sector, and he was saying, speak to me in terms of percentage increase. Don't try to fool me with the dollar value and tell me it's $1, because it might have been $1 last year as well. So incrementally, when you look at it, the percentage kind of racks up, because some say the increase is just $50. But if you look at that $100 on a $300 fare, automatically, that is about a 33 1/3% increase in airline travel. And then you look at what is that $50 and what would have been that $100 again. So you understand the kinds of increases that we are experiencing at this point.
That's the jump. And for those senior citizens who had grown accustomed to traveling for free on the ferry, I know there are persons who are anxiously awaiting their time to reach that age and to be able to travel freely on the ferry, and now to understand that that is no more. So senior citizens now have to pay to travel on the ferry.
Oh yes, to take that journey. And one of the things for me important at that for us to continue to pay very close attention to, the greater responsibility now lies in the context of the Tobago House of Assembly based on what has been allocated and how do you now use that within this year to drive and to move the development agenda here in the Tobago space. I'm certain the challenge is very obvious. The challenge is very obvious.
Yeah, most definitely. So, Julian, we're going to see how things pan out. It's an interesting time to be living in. And then we saw, I don't know if you caught the former Deputy Chief Sex Mandate Monday's post yesterday. I don't know if you were able to
no, I heard of it, but I didn't get to hear I heard in terms of Mandate Monday, but it wasn't coming from the current administration in terms of the Chief Secretary. It was Mandate Monday coming from the political leader,
yes.
Watson Duke. Your thoughts?
Very interesting. There was a lot of questions raised as to how things would be working now that he is no longer deputy chief. But again, he is the political leader and will keep in check the members of the administration based on what they campaigned for, based on what they rallied for, keep in check the promises that they made. So, if the minority is not doing their job, Mr. Duke certainly will do it for them.
I'm not sure if to say he's here to assist or he's here to do his very own job. Now that he has separated himself in terms of that other side, or as we say, it now appears to be two arms or two factions of the PDP. Or, in fact, he would say it's the PDP and him and Fali and friends. All right. All right. Viewers, we head on into our news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Ria. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, 27 September 2022. Finance Minister Carm Imbert announced increases for passengers traveling on the air bridge and sea bridge during his budget presentation for fiscal 2022-2023. Effective January 1st, 2023, airline tickets increased to $200 one way, while ferry tickets in the economy and premium class increased to $75 and $150 respectively. Seniors would no longer travel free on the ferry. However, they will pay $25 for a one-way ticket. Meanwhile, the THA was allocated 4.3% of the national budget, equaling $2.521 billion, consisting of $2.294 billion for recurrent expenditure and $300 billion for developmental expenditure, $18 million for URP, and $9.2 million for CPEP. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine expressed dissatisfaction with the allocation and stated Tobago should have received more. Meanwhile, motorists are forced to pay $1 more at the pump for premium and super gasoline as the government removes more fuel subsidies. Finance Minister Carm Imbert said the government decided to cap the fuel subsidy at $1 billion. Along with gasoline increases, diesel went up by 50 cents. Meanwhile, citizens in receipt of social assistance were allocated a one-time payment of $1,000 for the transportation cost increase. Additionally, citizens earning $7,500 or less were exempted from income tax. Furthermore, the minister stated they are not budging from the 4% offer for public servants. Minister Imbert also announced that the legal infrastructure is almost in place to implement property tax in 2023. Over 400,000 households will be affected, but information on only 200,000 of them has been gathered so far. Imbert stated that revenue collected from property tax will supplement the funding for local government. It was not stated if property taxes collected in Tobago will supplement the THA's budget. Meanwhile, the finance minister stated that a new strategic plan for the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority will be announced soon, affecting citizens' tax collection. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian and Ria.
Thank you, Candice.
Thank you very much there, Candice, this morning. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, topping the news and that focus on budget 2022.
Definitely. All right, so lots of interesting things happening in the space. Julian, what is happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I can't see at the moment, so we'll head straight on into birthday celebrations. So we're heading straight on into our birthday celebration. Seems like we even caught those guys off guard.
I tell you. So,
and we get started this morning celebrating a birthday. Today we have Giselle Phillips. So we're wishing Giselle Phillips a very happy birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. This one, this twin near and dear to the heart, the family connection. So this comes from Carissa Simon, the entire Simon family, wishing Akisha and Akelia Hazel a happy birthday. Rhea, do you know these young ladies out of the East?
I don't think that I do, but then the faces seem very familiar. It's not jumping out at me, no.
All right, so coming from the entire Simon family, wishing you a happy birthday.
All right, and this is my other granddaughter, Jada Renee Abigail Janice Walker, celebrating her 4th birthday. Happy birthday going out to you, my dear, and love from the Tobago Updates family and from your mommy and daddy.
All right, and this birthday is, well, it's actually a belated birthday greeting. If you don't know her in the Tobago space, well, something is wrong.
Definitely.
This is Crystal O, and we're wishing you a happy birthday, Crystal, and God's continued blessings as you enjoy the celebrations. And this one is near and dear to my heart. My cousin out there in Trinidad, Jada, wishing you, so this is Jada O'Connor, wishing you a happy birthday, Jada O'Connor. I trust that you have an enjoyable one, and we will connect
birthday,
to ensure those celebrations happen. Who knows, it will happen into the Tobago Carnival perhaps. All right, Jada, wishing you a happy birthday coming from the entire family.
All right. So, I mean, that was a few.
Yes, indeed. What do we have on the rundown this morning, Ria?
All right, so kicking us off this morning on the rundown, we have got Assemblyman Trevor James, who's going to be chatting with us this morning on infrastructure and the procurement predicament. He's going to give us some more information so that we're not left with the questions and the queries and misinformation out there. So, Assemblyman James. And then we've got Chris James on the program with us, and Chris is the president of the Tobago Tourism and Hospitality Association, and he's going to chat with us on the budget 2022-2023 and Tobago's tourism. That's what's coming up on the program this morning.
Yes, excellent. Ria, that's a beautiful green this morning. Stands out indeed.
Thank you.
Well done, Ria.
Thank you. And the thing is, I think it's a lot brighter on air than it is in real, I think.
It brightens up. It brightens up. In fact, it's matching the car in our background there coming.
Oh, definitely. Interesting enough. But you know, Julian, this morning we're wearing some Capri colors, some Signal Hill colors.
Yes.
Although the green showing up on screen is throwing the green off just a little bit.
The yellow and green coming together.
Yes.
That combination. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support. Those of you joining us via TV, Gael, as well as those of you joining us via Emily TV. Those listeners on Smash Radio and Street 91.9 FM. We want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, and each and every one of you joining us online day after day. Thank you for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show. This is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Carnival. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7:15 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, viewers, we are chatting with Secretary Trevor James, Secretary with responsibility for the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. Good morning to you, Secretary James.
Good morning, Julian. Good morning, Ria. Thanks to be here.
All right. So as we get started this morning, as you would obviously know, within the last sitting of the Tobago House of Assembly, the special sitting at that, and then following on into the scheduled sitting, there was the production and the presentation by Chief Secretary of an audit statement coming out of the roadworks, which is directly connected to your division. Of course, there were a number of queries that would have been highlighted, and the follow-up that happened from there, specific at that, responses from the political leader of the People's National Movement and others. We want to get started this morning by looking in the first instance at the discussion that speaks to the process that would have been engaged within the context of the Tobago House of Assembly, and specific at that, the allegations are that the same process would have been utilized by this current Tobago House of Assembly for sole select. All right?
Absolutely not, Julian. What happened under the last administration is that the Secretary of Infrastructure went to the Executive Council asking the Executive Council to contract these works specifically to these few contractors. And the Executive Council, led by Mr. Dennis, agreed. And so the two things are a bit day and night. The processes we have implemented is one where we have sat down, the staff at the PMO sat down with a bag of 40 contractors. They developed a logical framework matrix, a modified version of that, with 20 assessments, and out of that, we've selected contractors to which we can ask for selective contracting.
All right. What are some of the key components when selecting a contractor for any project?
For these projects, to be specific, for these projects, our terms of reference to the contractors were to find a contractor that, one, can finance the job himself and to be repaid over 19 months after completion. That, two, they demonstrated they had the capacity and the capability to do the job in a short period of time. And of course, whether they were registered with the THA or not. Those are the basic criteria for these specific projects. And that assessment was done, and out of that pool of contractors, 7 or 8 were selected to tender on 3 or 4 roads.
Are these, sorry, Julian, are these the terms of reference used for all projects or only for these set projects?
No. At the division, we have been trying to get the staff to move in a manner that is more professional, and therefore we have selected a pool of projects. I think it is over 40 projects with which we begin to tender them out in different ways. So we have a pool of projects that we have decided that we're going to do in-house. And so we needed to go through the process of preparing the documentation, the control matrices, and so on, to eventually give those projects to the development team. We have a pool of projects that we've decided to tender by selective tendering. And selective tendering could be sole select, or it could be open, it could be partial select. So we have contractors, 3, 4, 5 we've selected to tender on a specific project, or depending on the exigencies and the urgency of the situation, the Executive Council may or may not require that we have the authority to choose to go sole select. And of course, we have open tenders. Despite the talk in Tobago now, I think Mr. Parks won a project, one of the open tender projects. So we are moving the direction in a more professional project management way, and nobody in Tobago, nobody in Trinidad has been blacklisted thus far.
How do you respond, therefore, to the concern that's raised that all these contracts would have been given to Trinidad contractors over Tobago contractors?
It matters not, Julian. However, at the division, you see, the Chief Secretary presented the audit, but at the division, the information on the projects were available, and it was clear to us that there might be a position in the future when these contracts were audited, and we are not going to complicate matters by offering selective tendering to contractors who are being audited, so that you would find, when I use the parks example, in an open tender, anybody can tender, and the assessment will be based on the project criteria. But in a strategic manner, as an assembly, we need to demonstrate that we have an understanding of the history, and especially the recent history. And so the criteria that we've developed would determine who contractors. It doesn't matter if they're from Trinidad, Tobago, or China. It doesn't matter.
Assemblyman James, you say it matters not, yet during the campaign of the PDP, this was rallied, this was campaigned, this was one of the key factors during the campaign, that there would be opportunities for Tobago's contractors. How do you respond to that?
But, Maria, we are 9 months into a term. 9 months. In Tobago, it has now become public knowledge that some of our major contractors might or may have colluded to defraud the people of Tobago. That's information that we have. It has been presented by an auditor. Under what justification, on what matrix can we arrive at a position that before this audit is resolved, that we would willfully go out and call one of these same contractors to tender in a similar way for works that they are complaining they don't have money now to tender for us? It just makes no sense. And so the expectation, when people see that we have gone to Trinidad contractors, what they are saying is that, listen, you should give the Tobago contractors, notwithstanding what has happened. And I don't agree with that. I think that, and I want to say to Tobago, You will see new contractors in this space. Some will be Trinidadians, some will be Tobagonians. We hope, obviously, one of our mandates is to build the contracting capacity on the island, and we will continue to do that. That is one of the the major mandates that I have, and therefore, when we put out projects in different procurement methodologies, what we are attempting to do in our review is to have a better understanding of how contractors are performing, what type of procurement should we go with thereafter. So I'm not concerned about this Tobago, Trinidad divide and who gets what. There are Tobago contractors in Trinidad doing work. There are Trinidad contractors in Tobago doing work. We in Tobago cannot build Tobago by ourselves. No island our size with our population can build out the infrastructure requirements in it. It just can't happen. So the conversation about who's from Trinidad and who from South and who's from North is a conversation that says to me that we should continue with the status quo. And that's not what we're about.
Tell us, Secretary James, one of the issues raised in relation to the contracts awarded is the awarding of a roofing company with no experience in terms of road construction. Any feedback on that?
Well, we have to read. The name of the company, if I read it correctly, is Innovative Roofing and Construction Services. As far as I'm aware, I've been advised by the people at the PMO that this company has been around in different incarnations for more than 20 years. They are currently doing work in Guyana, road works in Guyana. They have presented documents to demonstrate they have the resources, financial and equipment resources to carry out the job. And as of for now, I'm satisfied with that.
All right. The other area that we'd want to get some clarity on, the Chief Secretary spoke to the ability to be able to deliver some of these roads specific and before, in time for the October Carnival, which is that last week in October. However, the requirements speak to within 120 days. Is it that there's an expectation that some aspects will be delivered prior to the time? The former Chief Secretary and the current political leader has indicated that these roads will not be delivered within the time frame, and therefore this is, as we call it in the Tobago space, is Mama Guy that's happening. Please provide some clarity for us. How do you respond to that?
The Chief Secretary and the Executive Council gave the Division of Infrastructure the mandate to deliver these roads for the Carnival in the shortest possible time, and therefore we are attempting to do that. Along the way, I must say that we have encountered some static and some delay tactics from some members of the administration, and we are working on that. But our goal is to carry out the mandate of the Executive Council, and we at the division will be taking every step that we can take to ensure that we are in fact meeting those strategic goals. Remember that what we are attempting to do, and I think there's a bit of unfairness in Tobago, we are attempting to host a carnival in a few months. When we sit and we analyze that the volume of people we expect on Milford Road, it became necessary for us to doing our risk assessments and so on to ensure that the persons in Crown Point and Bonaccord can in fact get out into Scarborough where the hospital is if there's a real emergency or real trauma on Milford Road. And that is what we are attempting to do, to provide outlets from Store Bay Local Road and along Feeder Road on the other side of Milford Road into Milford Court, down into the Mount Pleasant Development and so on, so that people can in fact get out if there's a real emergency somewhere west of Four Roads. And that's what we are attempting to do. Whether or not we will be successful, although we had the shortest possible procurement process we could have, of course there are some challenges with the administrative part of this thing, and so we would expect that once a contractor signs on to a contract like that he will over resource every task, that he will work night and day to bring the roads to completion. However, projects are dynamic things, and we are in the rainy season, and so there might be issues arising. Whether a contractor can complete or not is not for me to say. I'm no longer a contractor, but my analysis is that at the very least, all these roads should be drivable come October 25th, once these administrators that we have issue the documents this week.
All right, let me ask you here. Yesterday we saw the political leader Watson Duke have his mandate Mondays, on social media. He spoke about some of the low-hanging fruits. In fact, some of the areas or the plans for government. Government's first 100 days. Among them would have been the somewhat of a plan for Scarborough. We saw yesterday where there was some heavy rainfall and Lower Scarborough was somewhat under water. What are some of the plans that should have been completed in and around Scarborough within that 100 days that we have seen not completed way past the 100-day mark?
Yeah. I have decided not to respond to Mr. Duke as yet. I don't know who in their right mind will struggle to win a government, then win the government, and then remove yourself and prefer to criticize the government from outside. So I would respond to Mr. Duke at a later time. However, we are in government. The administration is new. Some of the administrators themselves are new. So I'll give you an example. Current administrator we have took the executive council approved. They gave the go-ahead for the engagement of the company to begin their feasibility studies for Scarborough. That was the end of March. The contract was only signed in August.
Okay.
And that is the struggle. That is part of the struggle that we face. I've given instructions to put a gang in Scarborough to ensure that Scarborough is maintained in a particular way. That administratively, that instruction is yet to be carried out, so that the population in Tobago, we have to come to terms with the fact that this government in Tobago is fighting serious, insurmountable battles outside and inside.
Okay,
and you have an expectation. I'm coming to the flooding in Scarborough. Right. There's an expectation that we can develop because there's an excitement, new government, and all that. The realities of governing is that we have to continuously take steps to bypass all kinds of things to get things done. Now, Scarborough has been flooding not one, not two, 10 years. The road between the two bridges is too low. And so the drains are too low on the side below the boardwalk. There are impediments below the bridges that prevent large debris from passing. And so we have a problem in Scarborough. And we have asked the division, we've now awarded a contract that will include putting a pond in two of the waterways that's coming into Scarborough. Hopefully that will start next month. But hopefully by next rainy season, the problem of flooding in Scarborough will be no more. In terms of the mandate from Mr. Duke, I didn't have the pleasure of hearing him, and I'll have to go back and listen to it before I make a real response on the details of the projects that will be done.
Secretary James, one of the things that we would want to also look at very closely is what's the current status in relation to the Scarborough, the overall plan for Scarborough. We know that there would have been consultations that took place, and I want to particularly put it in the context of, we just had the budget pass yesterday. The budget presentation would have been made just about 2.5 billion. And as we anticipated, the greater portion of that, I think just over the 2 billion, is for recurrent expenditure, leaving once again a minimal amount for development work here in the Tobago space. What does that mean for the reality and the projections regarding the plan for Scarborough, which is that greater projection, which would have been one of the major commitments of this PDP administration?
Julian, this budget dilemma that we face every year that comes from Trinidad is something that all Tobagonians have to come together to work on. This autonomy thing has been going on too long. My own view is that there must be an effort now to look at every piece of legislation that says Trinidad and Tobago, the Port Authority that says Trinidad and Tobago, the Airport Authority that says Trinidad and Tobago, and say, listen, it is time that we move that Tobago from it. We in fact have an act of Parliament 1988 that says that we have two public services in Trinidad and Tobago, one in Tobago, one in Trinidad. And the time has come for us to say, possibly, let's get the Parliament to do that simple thing of adjusting all the acts that impact administration in Tobago and taking it away from those documents. I think that might be simpler to possibly trying to get both UNC and PNM to agree on how they want to take Tobago resources to build Trinidad. In terms of the budget, we've had an experience recently of a failure in the roadway in Castara. We have an impending failure in the roadway between Bloody Bay and Roxborough coming. We have close to that big tree in Runnymede, failure that we've been trying to patch for 10 years. One of those failures is going to cost $25–30 million. If I'm not mistaken, the Division of Infrastructure, of that $300 million, last year $250+ million, last year we got less than $75 million to develop infrastructure across Tobago. And that money simply is not enough. Like I said, two trauma on the roadway, the money is used up. One of the reasons that explains maybe why the road infrastructure is the way it is over the years is that the THA just has not had the money. And so we decided early on in our administration that we have to come up with procurement methodologies that bring external funds into Tobago. And these roads that you're seeing is the first test of how we're going to do it. And we may find that they may need to change some things, but that's how governments go. But absolutely, we are going to bring in funds. We are actually have a trip to St. Martin from the division now to have a first-hand view of an understanding of how they went about building their port. They had a major reclamation as well, as you might know. So we're going to go there in the week when they have a series of ships docking to see their process. We are in discussions with 2 or 3 proposers who have put forward a plan to bring the cruise ship complex into Scarborough. And we continue to evaluate those proposals. And out of that evaluation, I'm sure by January, we may come to some kind of legal agreement with one of them. But the project is on, and the project will be built.
Wrap this morning's interview. One of the questions coming in is an indication or a reminder that China has a policy of foreign companies having a local partner for investment in China. Why not adopt a similar approach to build local capacity to encourage technical knowledge and skills transfer? How do you respond?
That will be done, Julian. Like I said, we picked up a pool of 40 projects, and we tried to tender them in different ways to see where the gaps are from our side in the division and where the gaps are in the contractor side. So we could decide how we go. And whether that question understands or not, we have a Chinese contractor right now in Tobago. Somebody could tell me how many Tobagonians they have in fact contracted. How many Tobagonian companies have in fact been subcontracted by the Chinese contractor we have in Tobago, which, by the way, turned out to be a sole select because not one tenderer from Trinidad or Tobago tendered on both times that airport project was tendered. Not one Trinidadian or Tobagonian contractor tendered on it. So we had one person tendering for a major contract after Mr. Devines and Mr. Rowley went to China.
So that would have been under the former administration.
Absolutely. So this whole talk of sole select and who don't have money and giving somebody who is part of the status quo already these additional opportunities is they can't be serious.
And how do you respond as well to the concern that the Chief Secretary would have given a breakdown in his indicating what the audit report identified is that the prices were very well over, and an indication by the current political leader that even the contracts being issued now are even further beyond what was the complaint of inflated and increased prices in terms of unit costs?
Well, when Mr. Dennis presents his master's certificate that says he's a quantity surveyor of some kind, or when he quotes the report from a quantity surveyor that he has engaged to come to that conclusion, then we should ask that question. But as of now, we have contracts that ask contractors to complete works, to use their funds to complete works, to be paid 9 months after completion, 50%, 18 months after completion, 100%. And we know that there is a cost for borrowing in this country. So when somebody could tell me that the project should cost X and they have the full scope and the project and the profit should be X plus 1 or 2 and the markup should be X plus 2 or 3, then we could have a real conversation. As of now, that's just old talk from Ansel.
All right. Thank you very much there, Secretary Trevor James. Well, we got to leave it there because we're out of time this morning. Secretary Trevor James providing us with some updates in terms of the infrastructure and procurement process within the Tobago House of Assembly, and more specifically the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, as a direct follow-up to the recent statements presented in the House by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. All right. We want to thank you so much, viewers, those of you connecting with us via TV, those on the radio, and those joining us online. This is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
And I got my brain, and I'm pretty like my mom.
And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
The Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates Morning Show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates Morning Show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if you're nice can't be damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Our guest on the program at this time, we're chatting with Mr. Chris James, and Chris is the president of the Tobago Tourism and Hospitality Association. And this morning we want to get his views on the 2022-2023 Tobago's tourism as it pertains to the budget. Chris James, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Rhea.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to chat with you, always. Let's start off this morning here, Chris, by asking, your thoughts on the budget presentation yesterday.
It's disappointing in the sense that I thought very active budget growth. So I think it's a shame that we didn't have more allocation. Being almost 40% less than last year, it's going to be difficult to get everything done.
All right. I want to ask you here, really, concerning the increase in airfare, that Inter-Island airfare. What were your thoughts on that?
It's going to be interesting to see the impact it has, because we're so dependent on that Trinidad market. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm hoping. What's been very difficult for us is that consistency of service. I'm hoping now we go from the 12 flights a day up to the 20, because it's not easy satisfying the demand. So if that increase in fare ultimately leads to us getting more flights, then I'll be content. Same with the boat. I mean, we have more demand than people realize wanting to come. I know you're going to ask me about Carnival. We have reached a peak of Carnival of around 65% occupancy. But we know we can exceed that enormously, because what we've had to tell members is don't take a booking unless they've got a confirmed ferry or airbridge ticket. Right. So we know we have a backlog of people that want to come, but they just can't get here. And it was the interesting, or frustratingly interesting, about the Caribbean Airlines. They kept boasting about the new 9 flights, these new 9 jets that they have with Caribbean Airlines. We get one. We get the JFK. We've been asking for the longest while to get a Canadian connection to Tobago. So they've got 9 flights. We get 1 a week. So it's frustrating with Caribbean Airlines. It's very frustrating. So they need to increase their efficiency on the airbridge and get more flights coming. All sorts of things that could be done if we can get additional people here. It has to be understood that airlift is an economic accelerator. And until we understand that airlift is an economic accelerator, we're not going to get the value in tourism that we can if we get more airlift.
All right. In terms of the bookings that we're seeing so far, you said about 65%.
65-67%.
All right. And we're talking particularly West End Tobago, West End. Are we talking North? Are we talking East?
No, it's quite widely spread, and quite widely spread across accommodation types, hotels, villas, guest houses, bed and breakfast. Is quite widely spread. But the limiting factor is lack of availability to get here.
What is being put in place now? The thing is, Carnival in October, we've known about for some time, and we've been talking about the air bridge, the sea bridge. We've been talking about these issues. So we're in September. In fact, we're nearing the end of September, which gives us less than a month to put these measures in place. Persons are not going to, they're not going to wait until the week before Carnival to book tickets to come. So
no. Well, it was interesting yesterday that the Minister of Finance did say that measures would be put in place. As you say, most people want to book. I mean, it's one of the problems we have with the ferry service, Rhea, is that we do not have a schedule that's far enough ahead for people to plan. People with children like to plan months in advance.
Right.
And so we need those schedules months in advance. So he said yesterday we would get more flights. I know the Hotel Association, I know the Chamber, I know the THA, the Chief Secretary, the Secretary for Tourism. We've all been asking for additional flights. We used to have 20 flights a day.
And now we're down to
12. We get 12.
And how many extra flights would we need to
We want to go back up to 20. We need to go back up to the 20 was never enough. I don't know if you remember some years ago, we got some Swedish airlines, Simba Air came on top of what we already had from Caribbean Airlines. And I was on the airlift committee then. And even then, we could not match demand. We don't know what the demand is from Trinidad. And that's the sad thing. I've said it so many times on your program, but the value of tourism is so immense to Tobago. If we get Trinidadians to holiday in Tobago and spend their money in Tobago, the government will get the VAT, the taxes, the room tax, all of those things. It's much better that they come here than go to Barbados or Grenada from an economic point of view for the country of Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't know what else arguments we can make, what other arguments we can make, because, as I say, if we can focus on getting that true value of tourism understood, we will use airlift as that economic accelerator for Tobago.
Now, Chris, it's no secret. I mean, you are the president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, and you have been pushing Tobago's tourism for a number of years. Since I've known you, that's
30 years. 30 years.
30 years, okay, 30 years. And at the point that we're at now, do you see this happening? Do you see us making headway? I feel as though it's a recurring decimal. We've been, the same issues over and over. Government come, government go, same issues over and over.
It's typical of an oil and gas economy. My previous life was British Gas, and it's typical of a oil and gas economy. There's an interesting phrase where you said the Stone Age didn't end because they ran out of stones. We actually have an opportunity to have tourism, have manufacturing, have oil and gas. I mean, it's been a saviour in the last year, as was presented in the budget yesterday. But let's use that money. I mean, IMF and all of these people, the UN, are saying that this is not a time to be mean. This is a time to borrow and create jobs and be profitable. So we have to look at this. And tourism, when you go through this region and look at this region, people are making an absolute fortune out of this region, out of tourism in this region. And when you look at the different things that they're doing to maximize that value, we can do all of those because we have much better infrastructure, if you like, but better geography than some of the islands that are succeeding. So it will eventually happen, Ria. I'm not sure it's going to happen in my lifetime at this rate, but it's going to happen. And people will realize that oil and gas is as of the past and that we will need to diversify into tourism, especially in Tobago.
Okay. Let me ask you, what was not in the budget that you wanted to see in the budget?
We didn't even get a figure quoted for tourism in the budget, so I haven't had a chance to go through all the documentation to see what it was. But Trinidad tourism, as well as Tobago tourism, needs a much healthier budget. I remember back in 2016, I think it was, most islands keep their budget allocations for tourism marketing secret. But we managed to find out that Barbados was spending $50 million on marketing back in 2016.
On marketing?
Just on marketing. We have never got close to that. I think we hover around 40, 50 million TT. So we will never compete for that high end. And really, for many, many years now, we've been selling on price and not demand. To create that demand, you need to market. So the only way they can switch bookings, tour operators can switch bookings, is price. So we need to get to that to get true value for tourism so that the workers in tourism and all the trickle-down industries that connect to tourism can benefit fully. When you look at the average rates, we have been having average occupancy and average rates half the average for the region. So where the region has been getting $260, we've been getting 130 as an average. Where they've been getting 64, 65% occupancy, we've been getting 34, 35% occupancy. So it's just a lost opportunity. It's depressing because it's a lost opportunity.
What would be a comfortable figure for tourism?
As much as they can afford. I mean, we just need to spend, we need to get, we're going places with the agency. Mm-hmm. The agency is doing a good job. So we are going, but they will be restricted if they don't get the budget they need. But I think until we can prove to the people of Trinidad and Tobago the value of tourism and understand that value, because it's not just the hotel or the restaurant, it's the taxi driver, the farmer, the fisherman. We need to show all of those values to people so they understand what tourism really is and what it can do. And then we have to maximize those. We have to reduce any imports that we have to bring in and create businesses to supply those products. So, and it's all doable. We've got examples all over the world to follow. We can easily do these things, but it's It's frustrating because, as I say, I thought the budget that the THA put together was excellent. It's a shame we did not get closer to the 6% of the national budget to fulfill those, because we really did get hit. This tourism industry got really hit in COVID. It really is on its knees. And when they quote, I mean, they were quoting figures about the 50 million that was given in grants to the hotel industry. We never got 50 million. There was 27 million that was distributed amongst the hotels. I think it was 126 hotels between them. And ironically, the larger hotels are now having to pay the reserve capacity, which actually wipes out what they were given anyway. Now, the reserve capacity electricity was electricity charged that they didn't use. It's a band, a cost for potential use. But TNTech knew we were closed.
Right.
So there was never any chance of us using that. We were empty. We were closed. We still had costs. So their grant was wiped out by that reserve capacity charge. So we really have to rethink. And I know we're working hard with the Secretary of Tourism and the Chief Secretary to get this back on track. But let's hope we can get it done in the next few years.
Okay, so we just came out of July, August vacation, heading into Carnival into October. What were the figures like? How did we see things go for that July, August vacation period? Where did we get visitors from? Was it from Trinidad? I mean, the airline, the airports, the island is opened up.
Yeah.
Did we have flights coming in? Did we have persons visiting the island?
We did. We got a lot from Trinidad. We're very good with the Trinidad in July and August, getting up to close to 72%, I believe, at the peak. Again, restricted by the limited number of flights. British Airways was doing very well. Virgin was not doing well at all. But British Airways was doing well. And as we go forward into the winter, we've got Condor coming back. We've got British Airways. Virgin are here for most of this year. So we have international airlift. We don't have enough, but we have international airlift. But the main thing we need to focus on, two things we need to focus on in the immediate future, is to get this in-transit desk sorted out in Trinidad. It's been going on for, I should think, 20 years I've been dealing with it. We need an in-transit desk so that people that come into Trinidad by American Airlines or whatever airline it is can transport themselves to Tobago with the simplest possible way of doing it. So we need an in-transit desk facility where they come into Trinidad. They do not have to overnight in Trinidad. They can come straight to Tobago. All of those flights going into Trinidad have free capacity. They have empty seats. It costs nothing. Those flights, there are only 2 destinations in the region that do not pay for airlift because of business travel, and that's Port of Spain and Kingston in Jamaica. So those flights are free of charge in a sense, and those empty seats are going to waste if we don't get that in-transit desk. So that's critically important to get that in-transit desk. And that will also require code sharing by Caribbean Airlines. They need to do it. There is a cost, but they need to do code sharing with those different airlines so that people can ticket all the way through to Tobago. So that's critically important. And the other thing we need to do is to go after more international airlift. We did very well when we had Scandinavia flying here. It was interesting that Apollo flight from Scandinavia not only was very busy, it was 96 occupied as a flight, but it used 15 different properties, which is unusual. And the trickle down, they were very high spenders and went out in the communities to spend. So that Scandinavian market's very important to us as well.
All right. Well, Chris, finally here, let me ask you, World Tourism Day being commemorated today. What are the plans for World Tourism Day in Tobago?
They actually got delayed yesterday a little bit, but we basically are focusing on training, education as part of our understanding. The digitalization formula that was mentioned yesterday is something that's going to be done with the THA and the agency. It's critically important coming out of COVID, the changes in the way that people book through their phones. I mean, I was listening to a conversation the other day that Americans, New Yorkers, the women book their weddings on the train after finishing work, looking at their phone. And that's the highest booking rate of wedding dresses, wedding cakes, and all of these things, which I just find incredible, to be honest, but it's a different era to me. So that technology is important. We have a lot of properties that will need to be up together with that digital transformation. So it's a time of reflection and moving forward.
All right. right. But we're going to leave it there. But quickly, anything else that you had to share with our viewers?
No, I really want people to take an understanding of the value of tourism. So let's value is the experience over price. And the problem we have in the region, very quickly, the problem we have in the region is the overtaxation of flights. When you look at flights within this region, the ticket price can be $100 and the tax can be $100. We have to we've been to a conference with IATA, we have to get that corrected. CARICOM needs to sit down and seriously look at that overtaxation. Right, I'll stop now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chris James. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
Lovely to meet you again, Rhea.
All right. So, viewers, we're going to leave it there. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. We've got Candice coming up with GMT in just a little bit. Just to remind you that tomorrow is Wednesday, so we've got the youth show on tomorrow with Dwayne and Luke. So, don't you miss it, all right? So, have a great day, Tobago. Stay safe on those roads. Wear your mask. Still sanitize, okay? And, yeah, still socially distant. Bye-bye, Tobago.
Can't take it when you talk true, say rather hear the words that glorify.
When I came here and I saw everyone at the airport, my heart literally wanted to explode out of happiness, because it shows that I have a lot of persons who are supporting me and that I've truly made persons within the island proud, and that this achievement is not only mine but everyone's achievement. It is truly a happy feeling being back home.
17-year-old Janae Brathwaite walked away with the coveted title of Regional Junior Minister of Tourism at the recently concluded Caribbean Tourism Organization Youth Congress. She presented ideas on experiential tourism as a tool to improve Tobago's tourism products.
According to Mortensen 2010, an immersive museum is a specialized space which creates the illusion of time and place by using 3D technology to integrate visitors into the experience.
Along with her presentation style and use of technology showcasing Tobago, Ms. Brathwaite credits the support of her team as being key to cupping the regional title for the first time.
Actually really nervous. However, I saw my teachers, I saw our secretary, I saw Miss Sylvester, I saw my mom and my aunt, and it gave me that boost of confidence to go out there and showcase the island.
I couldn't believe at first when they announced that Tobago had won. It was a surreal feeling, and it just symbolized the fact that hard work, diligence, preparation reaps great rewards.
The new Regional Junior Minister of Tourism intends to use her platform to encourage other young people to share their ideas for the industry.
I see Jenny using it to encourage more students in the school, not only to join the club, but to also look at tourism as a career.
The CTO Youth Congress provides the opportunity for young people to develop a greater interest in the region's tourism sector. This initiative is supported by the division through its youth tourism programs.
The division places such a high emphasis on tourism education, we say from nursery to tertiary, so that they could be ambassadors for tourism for Tobago in particular. And this victory for Tobago, for the division, is phenomenal.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise.
one, hail my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Minister of Finance, Com Imbert, announced increases for passengers traveling on the air bridge and the sea bridge during his budget presentation for fiscal 2022-2023. Effective January 1st, 2023, airline tickets increased to $200 one way, while ferry tickets in the economy and premium class increased by $25 each. Seniors would no longer travel free on the ferry. However, they will pay $25 for a one-way ferry ticket. Meanwhile, the THA was allocated 4.3% of the national budget, equaling $2.521 billion and $300 million for developmental expenditure, $18 million for URP, and $9.2 million for CPEP. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine expressed dissatisfaction with the allocation and stated Tobago should have received more. Motorists are forced to pay $1 more at the pump for premium and super gasoline as the government removes more fuel subsidies. Finance Minister Com Imbert said the government decided to cap the fuel subsidy at $1 billion. Along with gasoline increases, diesel went up by 50 cents. Meanwhile, citizens in receipt of social assistance will be allocated a one-time payment of $1,000 for the transportation cost increase. Additionally, citizens earning $7,500 and less were exempted from income tax. Furthermore, the minister stated that they are not budging on the 4% offer for public servants for wage negotiations. And Minister Imbert also announced that the legal infrastructure is almost in place to implement property tax by 2023. Over 400,000 households will be affected, but only information on 200,000 of them have been gathered so far. Imbert stated that revenue collected from property tax will supplement the funding for local government. Meanwhile, the finance minister stated that a new strategic plan for Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority will be announced soon, which will affect tax collection from all citizens. And that was in news in 90 seconds. And, you know, naturally, we have the budget in focus as we had a reading of it yesterday in Parliament. And there's a whole lot to unpack. But for today, we are going to be focusing our discussions on tourism because if you may not know that today is World Tourism Day as well. And the theme for today is Rethinking Tourism. You know, and it said, according to the WTO's website, tourism's relevance has never been clearer. The time is now to seize this opportunity and to rethink the way that we do tourism. So, I mean, you know, the question is, are we really rethinking tourism? Now, speaking to us this morning for this segment, we are joined by the Executive Chairman of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, not other than Ms. Alicia Edwards. And accompanying her, we have the Managing Director for Shepherd's Inn, and that's Mr. Colin Shepherd. Special good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning, Candice, and good morning to the viewing audience.
So, after hearing from our Minister of Finance yesterday about the budget projections for the next fiscal year, are we rethinking tourism in this country and in Tobago?
Well, I think the budget issues are separate. A lot of the measures that were announced will definitely have a general inflationary pressure on the cost of living in all areas. And so for tourism stakeholders, it may affect the cost of doing business and also the margins that they may get. But the thing though is that tourism is the business of Tobago. It continues to be the main revenue earner when we look at the distribution of according to the ministries. Despite what the government says, energy continues to reign supreme in Trinidad. Agriculture is at the bottom of the listing, and in Tobago it's tourism. So the THA by default and the citizens of Tobago have to continue to build out their tourism product so that they can earn foreign exchange separate from whatever allocations come from separate central government.
And Mr. Shepherd, I just want to get your take on this matter as well. Do you think, from hearing the minister's intentions yesterday, do you think that there's a serious thrust towards rethinking the way that we do tourism to ensure that it is a viable industry within our country?
Yes, definitely. I think that individuals, hoteliers, they have to look into themselves. They have to think about their structure, the way how the business is done. They have to look at means and ways to combat the inflation, most of all, and to chart a way forward on how they are going to move forward their product.
All right. Now, one of the things that the minister mentioned, well, when he explained some of the things for tourism and the package for tourism, it was all packaged around, that idea of having more hotel rooms, having that new airport in Tobago. Is that enough for us to be able to expand our tourism here on the island?
More hotel rooms or more higher-end hotel rooms will definitely attract a specific category of visitor that may not be coming to Tobago now. But for a lot of Tobago, a lot of the rooms that we have are not fully booked. We have a lot of spare and surplus room nights on the island. So while the airport will help, maybe if we could sort out some of the airlift and the connections, there is still a lot of underground work in terms of systems and procedures and even outlook and perspective that we have to do to make the industry more competitive. So yes, the higher end rooms may help, but it's not definitely going to be the magic solution for all that ails us.
But we have a situation as well that, we're seeing where Caribbean Airlines is, getting a little bit more from the public in the sense that we have an increase on the air bridge on tickets. So it's now no longer not $150. You are going to be paying $200 to get to Tobago. But there's no guarantee that that increase is going to fix the reliability on the air bridge. And that's been one of the concerns from hoteliers. We don't have full hotels because people can't get to Tobago. So are we really paying attention to what really needs to be done to fix our tourism industry? And Mr. Shepherd, I think you could probably join in here.
Well, the first thing I always say that service is important, and as we know, service is a product, right? And mostly that I think that we have to fix our product. It does not matter how many flights that we have coming across. First thing, we have to fix our air bridge. We have to make sure that the product. We have to make sure our airport is serviceable, which is most important. So as I said, that it doesn't matter how many rooms that we have in Tobago, how many flights we have coming to Tobago. If our product is not of a certain standard, we definitely not going to have people coming across and want to stay to Tobago or looking into or want to gravitate to coming to Tobago. So that's the first thing. We have to make sure that product, and we all have a responsibility. It's not just about the THA, not just about TTAL or just about Shepherd's Inn. It's all of us. We have to collectively do it together.
And Ms. Edwards, is that the concern that TTAL has in terms of when you guys go out to do your marketing? Is it that, because the product in Tobago still needs some work, is that one of the challenges you guys are facing in marketing the island?
Well, the thing about it is that while TTAL's role is predominantly marketing, the agency does have some control over some aspects of product development and infrastructure for the industry. And so one of the things that the agency had started doing in the last year was to initiate a program called Uplifting Service, which starts off as a customer service initiative that would touch all points and all people on the island, but also as well as an educational tool to actually educate people about the importance of tourism. A lot of times we see tourism as something that is separate and distinct from us. And I think it's important for the Tobagonian to understand that the dollars that visitors bring, not just white people, but visitors to the island bring, actually has a trickle down and an economic impact on Tobago. The THA continues to be the largest employer, and the THA cannot employ all the people and make things sustainable. So it's important for us to understand that when private sector investors like Mr. Shepherd and all others are doing their thing, that how we operate on the island, the controlling the levels of crimes or interaction with tourists, the prices that we charge, the way we operate in our taxis, all of those things impact tourism and affect the visitor experience. So part of the Uplifting Service project is to kind of talk about those in brass tacks terms so that people will understand that tourism is not just for hoteliers and guest house and bed and breakfast and tour people, but tourism is actually the business of Tobago. The second thing that the agency has started doing is realizing that digitization has become key. Before COVID, a lot of people would have said, well, my bookings came from here, or they depended on a tour rep, or they depended on word of mouth or whatever. But since COVID, digitization and being able to find and book not just rooms, but also experiences online has been key. And Tobago is lagging behind. So for example, a lot of our sites are up, and you can get basic information, but you cannot see pictures, you cannot book a room, you cannot pay with your credit card. And so we are also starting a digitization program, which is a 3-year program, and the aim in the first 2 years is to bring 100 properties online fully, where they will be able to have their website or their links up, where they'll be able to market their property, where they'll be able to collect payments, and then as the phases go on, other people would join the portal. So the agency is not just putting up their hands and saying we're marketing and there are problems and so on. We're kind of looking at some of the structural issues in the industry and doing what we can on our end. And I want to make a public appeal that we can't do it alone. A lot of times when we reach out to stakeholders say that I'm busy running my property, I'm busy doing whatever, I'm busy doing. But the thing about it is that we are really providing the infrastructure and the architecture for things to work. But you now, as property owners, as stakeholders, you now have to climb on that scaffolding and do what is necessary. So we're trying to create a more collaborative arrangement with our stakeholders, including them more, reaching out to them more, trying to get feedback in a more structured way so that we could all create something that we can be proud of.
With fuel price increases coming up, and that's going to naturally affect pretty much every industry within our space, how will that also affect the cost of our hotel rooms? And, you know, especially when you include meals in the package, because it's been a complaint that, you know, the offerings in Tobago, sometimes, you know, you don't necessarily get that same value for dollar as with other Caribbean destinations. How are we going to treat with that to make sure that we still remain a choice for people to come visit?
Well, it's a reason for concern, right? What I think most of all is that first thing, let's ask ourselves what tourism is. What is tourism? And we're here today speaking about today's World Tourism Day. We're speaking about tourism, and we want to change. We want to change our mindset. We want to change how we think about tourism. And we're speaking about the airfare being increased. I mean, let's be reasonable. I mean, I might take a little licks for that. Can 150 really be sustainable for the government or the aircrafts to come to Tobago? Fuel prices increasing, and it's a fact. It will increase, and if it will go up. But if we're talking about really tourism and we really want to make an impact on tourism, I think let's look at our schools. I mean, is tourism being taught in the school? This is a question that we have to ask ourselves. What hoteliers or what organization, TTAL is doing a tremendous job. we at Shepherd's Inn is that we just got Green Key certified, and which is important. It's an international award that is given to us for excellence in the field of environmental responsibility and sustainable tourism in this industry, and it's something big. And because of that, we have attracted a lot of environmentally conscious clients who are coming to Tobago, and it's tremendous. And there are a lot of initiatives that we want to take forward, and together we are partnering with TTAL, with the Ministry of Planning, to pilot this entire initiative to bring together. I say all of this to say that it's standard. We may talk about increasing airfare, we may talk about hotels or increasing our hotels, but if our product is not of a certain standard, we're gonna have issues. If the grassroots, if in schools that we are not teaching what tourism is, you go about and you ask anyone what is tourism, and they're gonna start thinking what is tourism. And I think it should be embedded in us. It should be in the back of our mind what tourism is, meeting and exceeding your expectation. Where does it start? Where does it start? And it's important. So if we can inculcate this in our community, as Patty said, we have to bring tourism. It's all of us business. It's not Mr. Shepherd's. It's not Shepherd's Inn. It's not Cocoa Reef or Tropicus Hotel. It's all of us, and we have to collectively do it together. The topic today is thinking tourism. Where are we going with tourism? It's all about creating a new environment for tourism. No longer it's sun and sea. People are not coming to Tobago to see sun and sea again. It's something different, and we are so happy that that TTAL is taking the forefront in creating standards, maintaining standards, and also policing standards in the hotel. If you look at the different establishments, is that we start today. We are happy that we are Green Key, and it's just a start. But again, it's a lot of work. It's maintaining the standards that we have.
Okay, and as we're getting ready to wrap up, and I just want to give you, Ms. Edwards, just a final word as we consider rethinking tourism. Of course, that's a theme for this year's World Tourism Day. So, go ahead, the floor is yours.
For me, I think that while we may be focusing on the challenges, I want to ask Tobagonians to think about the opportunities that exist in the current environment. And one of the ways that we can remain steady and profitable and growing in the business is to start to look at the linkages that we can make. There is not yet a strong linkage between agriculture and tourism on Tobago, which will help to offset the high import bill for some of the consumables in the industry. There is not that strong connection between culture and tourism, how we package and market our festivals, how we train and upgrade the skills of our tour operators so that they can better price and package things for the industry. So there's a lot of collaborative work that has to happen across all sectors, not just in tourism, agriculture, education, culture, festival, the arts, infrastructure, even the way Scarborough looks. All of those things have to come together to create a product that works for us. The second thing that I want to say, and probably the final thing, is that we are a small island destination and our resources are mostly renewable. And so issues around sustainability, Green Key, Blue Flag, and all of those things that we're doing to ensure that we protect our ecosystems and that we preserve our destination, not just for tourists, but for the next generation of Tobagonian becomes important. So those are really my things: linkages, sustainability, and really thinking differently about how we do tourism business and business, because tourism is business. A lot of times people think about tourism as some airy fairy thing, but at the end of the day, tourism is dollars and cents. You have to market, you have to make profit, you have to upgrade your product, you have to make investment, you have to train your people, you have to do a whole host of things, and all of those things have to come together, right? Hand in hand, private, public sector, THA, everybody, all of those things have to come together because we cannot continue developing Tobago on the strange allocations that we receive. That $2.4 billion every year can just keep us going, but it can't move us to the next level and grow us. And so the onus to grow has to come from us. And so I want to appeal to the natural initiative, the natural drive, the natural industry of Tobago people. Let us stop being dependent and let's put all our hands together in the same basket and decide what we can do, not just for tourism, but for our island.
Okay, great. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Shepherd and Ms. Edwards, for being on with us and for just giving your perspectives on tourism and a little bit on the budget from yesterday, right? So viewers, don't go anywhere because we have more on this topic coming up for you right after the break.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Carnival. It's a different type of thing down there. Man, we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago. I come out to play. I come out to play. I come out to play. You're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP Experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP Experience. Yeah, man.
Like about to overload. Watch them sexy bagel woman. Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, and we are continuing our conversations on tourism because, well, today is World Tourism Day, and of course we had that budget yesterday. So we're going to see how we join those conversations together today as we go along. But joining me on set is none other than Miss Janae Brathwaite. And of course, she, if you don't know by now, she is the Regional Junior Minister of Tourism who recently represented us at the Cayman Islands and did exceptionally well. And we are all so proud of her here in Tobago. And then online, we are also joined by Mr. Alex Job Thomas, and he is the former president of the UWI Tourism Society and the secretary of the TTAL board. Good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning.
All right, great. Now I'm going to get started off on, just education and tourism. Now we had the TTAL chairman on just a little bit ago, and also we had just the manager of Shepherd's Inn, who spoke to the importance of education amongst our schools, especially when it comes to tourism. So as we're thinking about the theme for this year, focusing on the theme for this year in that of rethinking tourism, I would like you both, I'm going to start with you, Ms. Jenny, first, about how important it is for us to focus on education within our schools, even from the primary and secondary level.
Okay, so I would say that it is quite essential to focus on tourism education within the school, as it allows the younger person to gain patriotism from a young age, and they will be able to understand the importance of the tourism industry within Tobago. Because if I'm being quite honest, when I was growing up, I thought tourism was just the hotels and people just coming in and leaving, and that was it. But then as I grew older and I got into tourism in the secondary level, I understood that tourism is so much more than just that. It has to do with the culture, the heritage, mainly the festivals, the food, the agriculture, everything that we do within the island plays a part within the tourism industry. And I think that giving younger persons that opportunity to understand that from the younger age, they will be able to contribute better to the tourism industry when they get older.
Great. And Mr. Job Thomas, I want to get from you, do you think we are focusing enough on education, tourism education within our country?
Okay, so Tobago, I would say Tobago is focusing a lot, especially through the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Nationally, I think the effort needs to be increased and it needs to be backed up strongly by the education system, because I think tourism needs to be added to the curriculum earlier o'clock, right? But just to highlight Tobago and what Tobago have done so far, right? And Johnny is quite right in what she said, and she's also a product of that as well. The program basically started in 2017 under then Councillor Mrs. Nadine Sword Phillips, who was very passionate about youth development, who started the program, and now it's actually it continued under this new councillor, Councillor Tashia Boris, who is very passionate about youth as well. And want to remain constant during that period, which is the event coordinating unit, which is led by Mrs. Sandra O'Tony and along with Una McNeil Benjamin. And that unit really pushed forward. They worked tirelessly. Miss Orr, I could tell you for sure, Miss Orr worked in the office late nights just to ensure that the youth events and events for this youth aspect of the program come off. And she worked tireless, and she gets her satisfaction from actually seeing us events come off successfully and seeing us satisfied in those events. So education, tourism, and certainly I think it needs to be added to the curriculum. I did it at E-levels, and that's the only area I did it at E-levels, right? I think it needs to be added earlier in the curriculum, so persons understand tourism. We can't be speaking about tourism and don't think that it's not important to add tourism, because, for example, when you go through social studies, you barely touch on tourism. You barely touch on the stuff that you need to know about tourism. And it's important for us to understand, listen, if we're serious about tourism, and I heard the finance minister say that, okay, Tobago is part of the diversification process. If we are really part of the diversification process, we need to consider tourism, because I think education have a very large aspect of the budget, because we understand the problem that the education system is having. But how are we diversifying? How can we bring students up to standard? Can we do this through tourism? Because tourism is a very lovely and a beautiful industry. So I think it's very important, and Tobago is leading the charge nationally, but I think the bigger island needs to catch up.
Now, from what you've said, do you think, and from listening to the budget yesterday, do you think that there's a focus on tourism and just ensuring that, our young people can be diverted into those areas to really diversify our economy in a serious way?
So I think so, yes, because once you let them understand what is tourism, I think you need to educate persons. Let them understand what is tourism. Tourism has a lot of aspects. There's the governance aspects of tourism, there's marketing, there's product development, there's so much things involving tourism, there's environmental aspects of it. So once you let persons understand that this industry is large, I think persons underestimate the global contribution to GDP and the global worth of the industry. It might be fragile, but it's very large. And if persons understand that they could fit somewhere into the industry and make a living, it could operate very well. So I think persons just let them know the career opportunities that it has in tourism, and let them choose where they want it to. But firstly, we must educate them and show them exactly, okay, yes, and also sometimes provide training in some cases.
Ms. Janae, you spoke a little bit about, tourism catching on a bit amongst our young people. And I want to get from you just what are some of the ideas and what are feelings among the youths in Tobago, especially where tourism is concerned? Where are they thinking?
Honestly, persons at my age or persons in the youth category, they no longer want to just visit the place or just go there and take 2 pictures and say, well, I visited this place and leave it as that. They want to have that immersive and authentic experience. They want to connect with the island and understand exactly what makes the island who it is and how they can contribute to it. And in giving them that opportunity, I think that it can improve the tourism industry further. It would allow us to grow, because in younger persons, we have a lot of creative ideas that we can contribute that can improve the tourism industry essentially.
So are you hopeful that we have something great coming out from our young people in the near future?
Yes, definitely. I have no doubt that the younger persons are going to contribute a lot to the tourism industry in the future, because as I said, they are quite innovative as it pertains to all aspects of the world. So yes.
And Mr. Job Davis, I know if you want to continue along from that point and to speak to us a little bit about the innovation that's coming from our young people as somebody who is in TTAL.
All right, so young persons are right now, I think Johnny touched on an important point. Young persons they want something new. And Mr. Shepherd said something before, I totally agree with him. We no longer want the sun, sea, and sand. People want something different, and we have to rethink tourism. Basically, how we are going to go forward with tourism, because the pandemic taught us that what we were doing before couldn't work. Anybody who want to continue what they was doing before certainly should understand that the pandemic stopped us in our tracks. Destinations like Antigua and Barbados, actually, as the pandemic happened and people started shutting down, they changed their strategy one time. So we need to understand that, listen, experiential tourism is important, and young people like that type of thing. So we need to give the persons an experience, an authentic experience, and that is important, right? So persons can be innovative. We can use technology, and young persons are involved in the technology. So technology, so that is something that will help us, virtual reality and all these different aspects. So I think you can come up to the plate, and they will show us what innovation is, and certainly we are ready. I definitely have full faith in young persons that we are ready.
All right, well, viewers, if you're not convinced that we're rethinking tourism, especially where the young people are concerned, well, you should be by now, because you're hearing it from 2 brilliant young minds within our space. That there is that rethinking, there is that innovation happening. So I want to thank you, Jenny. I want to thank you, Alex, for being on with us and to just speaking us a little bit about the youth perspective of tourism as we talk about, as we have a continual discussions on World Tourism Day. All right, viewers, we have a lot more coming up for you on the program, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be back right after the break.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susseland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now. 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level. The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia. Let's go.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, and joining me on set, of course, is none other than Culture Officer 2, Mr. Jesse Taylor from the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning and thank you for having me, Candice, and happy World Tourism Day to all of the world and Tobago and the THA in particular.
So it's World Tourism Day, as you mentioned. Yes. And the theme for this year is Rethinking Tourism. Are we rethinking tourism in the creative sector in Tobago?
Well, certainly. I think that over the last year, and may I say over the last couple of months, we have demonstrated that, because we were one of the first in this side of the Western Hemisphere to show that even if we had what is considered to be a dreaded pandemic in the form of COVID-19, we were able to push the envelope and to put outside to the world and to our neighboring island, Trinidad, that we can find a way to strike the balance. And we have done that. We did that when we had the Taste of Buku. We did that when we had the Tobago edition of the 2022 Heritage Festival. Best Village, and we continue to show in various forms and ways that it is very possible to do these things. And in order for us to have done that, we had to truly sit, rethink, reposition, rebuild, reorganize, re-energize, reinvigorate, revitalize, to ensure that the product becomes more wholesome, more saleable, and more available. And that's the way we intend to go further. So yes, I dare say so, yes.
Now, listening to the budget yesterday, and of course in the lead up to it, we had Chief Secretary Fali Augustine as well as several economists saying that we need to look at the creative sector in a real sort of way as an economic driver within our society. Did you get that message from the budget?
It maybe just wasn't clear to me, but I endorse the view that we need to consider what we have, because I keep saying that of the world's many resources, the human resource is what I consider to be one of the greatest value. That in itself would equip anybody to be able to operate in a sustainable manner, and because you would breathe the spirit of entrepreneurship, you would breathe the spirit of innovation, and the private sector would thrive. And I guess when you marry private sector with public sector, then you get a beautiful union. And I dare say so because the time has come for all these creatives, all the creative ecology to really take the forefront, because we have been around since time immemorial, and we have been in one of the people who continue to sustain, to promote, and to really push the word of tourism and to encourage. And there are so many skills. A long time ago, Candice, you didn't have people getting certification and degrees and coming out the postgraduate diplomas in the related fields. So there are now certified people doing stuff. I mean, with the advent of the Tobago Performing Arts Company, you see where that is going and how it's a nucleus for growth. It allows people to challenge themselves. You discover latent talent. You explore what is also professional, and you allow people to really own the product. And I think ownership is what we are trying to say when you say build the private sector and the creative industry, because that is what, because they're culinary, there's food, there's art, there's craft, there's so many other things that makes the creative sector what it is. And so I do agree that if they take the lead and if we encourage them to do so through our various programs, our training sessions, and all these things we have been able to put on the table so that they can practice and find a forum for expression, then we are on our way to a better place and making Tobago a better place for all of us.
And I want you to expand a little bit on that, especially where it comes to the certification and then making careers out of the creative industry, because for a long time we saw the creative industry as just something that you do on the side, something you do on afternoons and so on. But we never really explored the idea of making it as a career, making it so that people can earn money while they're in that sector.
You can say, well, culture is our way of life. It's what we do, what we breathe. And there are different reasons. People come here for health, people come here for sports, people come here for culture, for art, for different things. So there are so many different areas that one can tap into. And because we have all these avenues, we could certainly pursue them. We have the pending arrival of the opening of the cruise ship season, and then we have all these festivals that sustain this. But larger than that, Tobago has all these activities that continue to generate opportunities for the thriving of a lot of the industry, be it if you're into mass, if you're into fashion, if you're into making costume, cooking food, culinary things, and there are so many things. And as I say, it leads to a larger forming of a bigger picture, because you have a blank canvas. So whatever you dream, you can achieve. And I think that the systems are in place. There are activities that supports that, and you don't have to just think Tobago. You can be out of Tobago, go to Trinidad, go up in Tobago, and send a signal to the world that you are poised and ready. It was a joy to me to see people going to Fashion Week and taking the Tobago culture out of Tobago into Trinidad, and to be practicing among the people who are considered to be exponents in the arts, and in the as I say, the creative industry needs growth. It needs so much people who have come back, returned to Tobago with a lot of a passion, a lot of qualification, and a song to do that. Then this is our stomping ground. Let's stomp, really.
So are we seeing a situation developing where our creatives can, have those careers in those sub-industry, whether it be dance, whether it be, just fashion, whether it be music, so that that's their only focus for their career instead of having to work, like we say, a government job and then do their creative on the side?
Well, that's certainly the way, because I call the weaning stage. I believe that we could put stuff into it. I also believe that the time has come for there to be some weaning, so that you allow people to develop, stand on their own. You give the support, because there are agencies that are in place and in training to do that. And as you build out other stuff, for instance, at our department where we are now doing the antiquities, there will be need for people who are so trained in those areas and inclined to those things, who go after those things at our heritage sites, the preservation of our visual art, the biosphere thing, those things that have not been largely a part of what we do, but you can now see them and you can consume them and you can make sustainable living out of them for your economic development. And that is important, because once you're able to stand on your own, then you can be a greater individual contributor to the larger economic growth of the country, and that is the way forward. Certainly, we have seen it in our neighboring countries, St. Lucia and Grenada, those places that largely rely on tourism. That's what they do: weave baskets and they sell food, and the island trade, the village trade, that village woman, that fisherman, that craftsman, that person who make art, who do leather, have been able to make sustainable living out of it. And I think that apart from just a government job or seeking to do that, there are certainly other ways that the creatives can survive as we rethink tourism. And it's such a wonderful theme. Yeah.
And of course, when we think about tourism, it's not just about experiencing the beach or it's more. It's just that experience with the culture.
And I think the time has come, Candice, I'm sorry, for an immersive experience, because we just, everywhere has beach, everywhere has sand. But what else do you have? What that can love? Because what we try to do, we're competing with many other places in the world, and the sectors are opening up and people are thinking, where can I go next? Some of the things that we have as things that we have not been doing. A person must be able to come here and learn, spend a period of time, be a tourist, be a guest, but still learn the culture, the art, the dance, how to play an instrument, a fiddle, a tambourine, get classes in visual things, in painting, in other kinds of art and mixed media, make a costume, learn to do a headpiece, because there are people who are very skilled in these things. And if we lean or take that direction, then we will open up other avenues and pockets so people can truly have an immersive experience, and that's unique to this space and unique to Tobago, that goes alongside, parallel to all the things that we already have, the Plymouth, our mysterious tombstone, and the wonderful beaches we have, and all these things that we are proud to have, that nature has given us. We can add those as our human resource contribution to making Tobago a better place.
All right, great. And on that point, we'll have to wrap this interview. It was quite a wonderful interview with you, Mr. Taylor, as always. But viewers, we're not done yet. We still have a bit more coming up for you after the break, so don't go anywhere.
Wake up with Candace.
Advertise with Tobago updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
The Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates Morning Show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates Morning Show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be Be a hero. Champion. Fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Now, I am being joined by Dr. Stephen Shepard, and of course, he is the CEO of the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Industry, THDI. So, good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candace. Fine, I'm pretty good.
Great. So now we're talking about World Tourism Day. It's all about rethinking tourism. And I want to get from you, what is the role that THDI is playing in rethinking the way we do tourism here in Tobago?
Right, so THDI is primarily set up to develop the human capital for the tourism and hospitality sector. And we've been doing that for the last 25 years. This year is the 25th anniversary of THDI, and we have been doing quite a good job of it. But that is THDI's primary role. But if we look at education and tourism, I want to take it from two angles. As you know, TTHDI in Shagam was closed in August 2020. And what we have now, there are more Trinidadians at THDI than Tobagonians. It means, therefore, that you have to be in Tobago for like 3 months, 6 months at a time. That's tourism. So think of an education institute in a country, in Tobago in this case, and you have persons here for 2 and 3 years. That's the best form of tourist you could find, as compared to 5 or 7 days or 2 weeks. Right? So education tourism, pretty much like health tourism, will bring people into your country, because that is what tourism is, going from one country to another country. And you stay for a long time and you contribute to that country's economy. That's one aspect of education tourism. The other part is education for tourism. Right? So tourism does not happen by itself. People need to be trained, and there's a distinction between tourism and hospitality. So tourism is the destination, making the place attractive and whatnot. Hospitality is what happens to you when you get there. And of course, the culinary and the food and beverage, you have to eat and you have to drink something. So we have to do a little more work on our tourism. We have to carefully define what aspect of tourism Tobago is in. The actions so far will suggest we think we're in mass tourism, but probably not, because Tobago has carrying capacity. We have excellent niches. I will go out on a limb and say Tobago is probably the most beautiful and the most exciting island in the Caribbean. But we need to carefully manage that and develop, and we have some fantastic niches. You have to develop those niches, and that is where education comes in.
For a long time, THDI has been seen as just that hotel school, or the school where you go and learn how to cook. Have we been moving away from that towards making sure that we're producing persons within our that can actively contribute to the development of the tourism sector in a more holistic manner?
Yeah, definitely. Just like surgery and medicine, everyone thinks cooking is the glamour part of it. But if you go to a destination and all you get is good food and everything else is bad, you won't go back. So THDI has some active programs. For example, tour guiding. People don't think about that, but tour guiders have to be trained. To become a licensed tour guider, you have to do the course at THDI and then go to the court and get your license. We have excellent tourism programs at THDI, really, really good. Some of the best lecturers in the country at THDI. Excellent hospitality. I mean, we are asked by many players to train their staff. Right now, we are doing some training for the Tobago Tourism Agency in customer service, training every touch point in Tobago, and the whole idea is to increase the tourism product, not only for visitors, for everyone. So everywhere you go, whether it's Tobago Updates, a gas station, a grocery, a taxi driver, the police, immigration, wherever, what you should be experiencing is excellent service. And when people experience excellent service, they go back.
Are we seeing that a drive of, like high school graduates from within our society considering THDI, not just for cooking, to learn how to cook or to be a chef or to manage a hotel, but to go beyond that and look at the other sectors within tourism that they can develop themselves and then contribute to the development of the tourism industry here.
Yeah, we're not seeing enough. I mean, it's good that you just had a young lady here who went to Cayman Islands and won a competition there. So some things are happening, but not enough is happening. I think people generally don't understand what tourism is, what hospitality is. In some people's minds, tourism is serving in a restaurant or serving in a hotel. There's much, much more than that. Tourism is probably the biggest industry in the world, the biggest employer in the world, has the highest turnover in the world. Without tourism, airlines will go dead. Business will go dead. So people need to understand that the tourism, it's management, it's strategic management. Every single thing you learn on a business course, you learn in tourism, because even if you do tourism, it teaches you how to run a business, how to manage an organization. But that understanding is generally not there. So we need to do some more on that part of it.
After we heard from the budget yesterday, and budget presentation yesterday, are we seeing a drive from the government standpoint to direct persons into the tourism industry and of course consider education, formal education in tourism?
Well, the good part with that budget, and I'm just being selfish here now from THDI's point of view, we were concerned about the gate because as you know, we now do an associate degree and we are developing a bachelor's degree. The rules previously were if you had gate funding for one undergraduate degree, you will not get the other one. But with this adjustment in the rules, it now enables person to go right through to the bachelor's degree and gate will fund you. So because of that, what we expect is that there'll be a new interest in pursuing those bachelor's degrees, well, associate and bachelor's degree at THDI.
And when can we realistically see that bachelor's degree program come on board at THDI?
By next September for the latest. I was actually pushing for this September and possibly January, but the amount of steps that we have to go through realistically next September. It's in an advanced stage. All the work is done. We are now doing the administrative parts of it. Costing, it has to go to internally in THDI to the board and the academic committee, then to ACTT and then to GATE. That'll take some time. So realistically, September next year.
So certainly something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, sure.
And
definitely.
then as we're looking forward to that coming, are we increasing our, is THDI increasing its marketing, I should say, towards potential students, whether it be here in Tobago or in Trinidad or even outside of Trinidad and Tobago, to consider education, tourism education in Tobago as the place to be?
We are, but what I've learned, the best form of marketing in Tobago is word of mouth. Coming to Tobago updates, going to the Newsday, going to the Express, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. Only go so far. People know of us outside of Tobago far better in Trinidad and the rest of the Caribbean than in Tobago. So in Tobago, we need to hit the ground. We need to go to the villages, to the community centers to get the word out. The regular means of communication will not work.
So are we going to see a rethinking in the way that you treat with the way you reach out to potential students here
for sure, yeah. So for example, we are familiar with all the schools and the teachers, the tourism teachers. Their classes visit us. Sometimes they come to use our kitchens, but we have to increase that. We go to all their career fairs into all high schools in Tobago, but there are still people in Tobago who are not aware that THDI exists. Some people think that THDI has closed. So I want to tell everyone, THDI is up and running, has always been. And thanks to the THDI for that. I mean, the support has been great. So THDI has been doing quite well. Yeah.
All right. So now as we're getting ready to wrap up our conversation, so today is World Tourism Day and the theme is Rethinking Tourism. What is one message that you want to leave with the people of Tobago as we, consider what we can do to help revive and push tourism forward?
The key message to Tobago is treat each other well and others will come to that. People will hear about it and they will come to be treated well. But we will not treat others well if we don't treat each other well. And I mean that in every Every way you could interpret that. So if you go to a gas station, to the grocery, to the parlor, to a tour guide, anywhere in any village, once you are treated well, it will attract more business. You'll come back. And whether it's from Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Guyana, the US, Canada, wherever, people will come, hey, there's a place in the Caribbean called Tobago where they treat people really good. Let us go there. And they'll keep coming. See, Castara, they treat each other well and they treat visitors well, and people have been doing it for 20 and 30 and 40 years. It has to go to the rest of Tobago. So if you just treat each other well, things will go fine.
And then finally, how can potential students or people who are watching who want to know more about the programs that THTI offers, how can they get connected?
Or if they just go to the website, www.thti.edu.tt, every single question you could think of, it's there on the website. Okay. Or just Google Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, or just Google THTI and it will come up.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dr. Shepherd, for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure speaking to you. And of course, viewers, yes, I mean, we had a mouthful this morning. We had a lot of conversations this morning about tourism and where we are taking this sector forward, as today is World Tourism Day. So we're looking forward to see some of that innovation and some of that advancements coming within our space. So I want to wish you all a wonderful, safe and productive day. And we'll be back again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Of course, we're going to be starting off with the youths. And then later on at 8 tomorrow, I'll be joining you again for another episode of GMT. So viewers, that's it from me. And have a good one.
Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say